Dear feminists of the third wave, I ask that you please listen to what I have to say and openly invite you to debate and or rebut any and all details I include herein. Show me that I am wrong rather than blocking me out and relying on your echo chambers and think tanks to prove to you that you're right. What I want to talk to you about is men. Men have committed some of the most diabolical and inhuman atrocities known to the world at large. They have committed genocides, brought oppression to the known world, and utilized tactics in war and beyond of the most hellish, nightmarish, and unspeakable nature. They have harnessed the power of sympathy for the downtrodden and spiritual enlightenment of the highest degree to spread misery and terror throughout the generations. They have turned brother against brother and sapped our earth of nearly every ounce of sustainable resources. They have poisoned the minds and hearts of the few to bring about perversion and destruction on a global scale. These are truths. These are facts. Only the feeble-minded and intellectually inept would argue otherwise. However, with that said, as it has been said before, it shall echo many times into the future. The only thing necessary for triumph of evil is that good men do nothing. Men have always been at the forefront of every conflict in the battle of good and evil. Men have willingly kissed their mothers, wives, and daughters goodbye as they give up their seat on a dry lifeboat to them in return for an icy, watery grave. Men have stormed the beaches of some of the most hellish places on earth and fallen in the mud created only with sand and blood. Men have inhaled deadly gases in the trenches of France, and men have sat in holes listening to their brothers die horrible agonizing deaths. Can you imagine what it must be like to feel your insides frying like meat in a frying pan, while watching your skin melt off and realizing the only reason you no longer feel the unbearable agony is due to the fact that all of your nerves have been destroyed? Can you imagine having someone saw through your throat and spine with a butterfly knife in front of a camera for all the world to see? Or looking upon your headless body as it falls lifeless to the earth, but not being able to scream, try as you might, because for the 30 or so seconds you're still alive, your head is now in the dirt while your body is still on the concrete slab beside you. Can you imagine throwing yourself atop your significant other in a crowded theater and having pieces of metal tear through your back as the gunman releases crack after terrible crack from his rifle, then feeling those red-hot pieces of metal bounce around inside your ribcage, shredding your organs and quickly filling your body and lungs with blood and poison as you drown during the showing of a film you were excited to see? Can you imagine charging selflessly into a collapsing skyscraper and know it's going to crush you alive in order to save everyone and anyone you can before the inevitable happens? I don't just mean that you're going to die. I mean every bone in your body will be felt snapping and being torn from the flesh around it, and your skull ground in from the billions of pounds of metal and concrete above you. Can you imagine living every day of your life ready to sacrifice it for those you hold in esteem above yourself? Can you imagine doing these things or having it in your mind that these would be unquestionable duties of being what you are because you accept these duties because of what you are? Can you imagine an existence where you fully realize and accept that your purpose in life is to answer these calls and be ready to accept any and all of the consequences of answering them because those different from you are of higher importance than you, and you ask nothing in return? Can you imagine for one moment of your self-absorbed, privileged little existence what it must be like to be all of these things not only for the glory, but also for what it takes to receive this glory? Can you imagine knowing that the glory is far outweighed by the risks, but that it is your place to accept and act in accordance to that? That you would stand and allow yourself to be set on fire if it meant that even one woman or child could live and go on in your stead? Now, let that all sink in for a moment. And then think about this. Can you imagine being all of these things and then being told by a group of women and some men that number in the hundreds of thousands, if not more, and being told by our institutions now and our media that you stand for all of these things that men are responsible for keeping from you? that every single one of your kind is toxic and poisonous, that you are what is wrong with the world, and that less of you would fix most of the issues that this world suffers from. That you can be talked about and treated in whatever way women see fit because you are somehow dealt a worse-handed life. That of the things you do or are prepared to do for the prosperity and safety of women matter because you are the reason they do not matter because you are the reason they are miserable and suffer. That you are garbage because of the way you were born. That you are a disgusting monster just waiting to snap and violate the very people you find sacred enough to suffer the greatest agonies that this world can bring. Imagine how that feels. Imagine how that must feel. Here, allow me to put this into better perspective for you. Well, I'll get to that in a moment. I have a theory on this. Modern day feminists, notice how I said feminists and not women, not real women anyway. Modern day feminists lack the empathy to see any of this because men have always been the ones to risk their lives to protect them. You subconsciously take the selflessness of men for granted, and in doing so, do not grasp the capability to appreciate it. If your life is in danger, you call a man. If other people's lives are in danger, you run and hide until the men arrive. Men do all of the work for you, so that you may enjoy the fruits of their labor. They are the ones who defend you from the rapists, not your gender studies professor, where your feminist sisters will be there to hold and comfort you after you have been raped. That is, after they tell you that you should not take any precautions to avoid this trauma, but are more than willing to hug you and blame men for the trauma happening. Whereas they are there for that. Men will be there to stop you from being raped and also destroy the rapist before he has a chance to rape again. Ask any man. If all goes well for them in this altercation, the rapist will not be alive to rape another day. I mean this in the utmost literal sense. They will literally throw their lives away with charges of murder because they value you more than themselves. And no matter how much you demonize them, they will continue to place you above themselves. Even if Anita Sarkeesian were in danger, Sargon of Akkad would defend her with his life. Of this I am positive. I doubt he would disagree with me. You are so full of yourselves that you do not even see that you are held in a higher esteem than any man in this world. You are the dominant gender, and I think you know this, and it is in part your guilt driving you to rally, in my opinion. You have always been and always will be more valuable on every level imaginable. Men will never be on your level, and as men we willingly accept this, and would not change this if we were given the choice. In fact, we would die fighting for it to remain the same. We love you. We died for you. We see no struggle too long nor pain too severe to ensure your well-being. And you spit in our faces while smiling with glee and shouting that we are what is wrong with our world. Now, as I said, I will leave you with this. To put this into perspective, something you could truly understand. Imagine your child, the one person that you love more than life itself, the one person that you hold in higher esteem than yourself. Imagine that your child, when they are grown and matured, of course, once past their silly rebellion stage, that they wished you were never born, and that you are the reason they will always suffer. This has been Iconoclastrises. Thank you very much for watching and listening. Remember to like, share, subscribe, and you all have a wonderful evening.